My reading today is from Dave Barry's review of the year 2020, which he wrote for the Washington Post. We're trying to think of something nice to say about 2020. Okay, here goes. Nobody got killed by the murder hornets, as far as we know. That's pretty much it. In the past, writing these annual reviews, we have said harsh things about previous years. We owe those years an apology. Compared to 2020, all previous years, even the disco era, were the golden age of human existence. This was a year of nonstop awfulness, a year when we kept saying it couldn't possibly get worse, and it always did. This was a year in which our only moments of genuine, unadulterated happiness were when we were able to buy toilet paper, which is fitting because 2020 was one long, howling Category 5 crap storm. We sincerely don't want to relive this year, but our job is to review it. If you would prefer to skip this exercise in masochism, we completely understand. If, however, you wish for some sick reason to re-experience 2020, now's the time to put on your face mask, douse your entire body with hand sanitizer, and then, to be safe, don a hazmat suit as we look back at the unrelenting insanity of this hideous year. And he continues on month by month, giving a little summary. You may like to look it up, and that's from the Washington Post. Thank you, Dave Barry. We might be ready to laugh at how awful 2020 was. Are we? It's like the tide waters rose and we floated away, and when the water went back down, we landed on some strange beach somewhere, some new place that we didn't recognize. We could keep lamenting and tearing our hair out over all the things we've lost, the things we've left behind, the things we didn't get to do, or we could begin the adventure of our lives, exploring new, unknown territory. We have become explorers in 2020. We are wiping the mud off and polishing the things and the people that arrived with us on the shores. Oh, maybe you're supposed to be here with me. Insight. Maybe I landed exactly where I'm supposed to be. The old had to wash away for the new to be seen. We had to be torn out of our comfort, our whirlwind of busyness, our former selves where we had no control of what was in our purview, of what was around us. Schedules, time commitments, all kept us contained. That was our lockdown. We had an illusion of being limited in what we could do. So here we are on the threshold of a new year. Lots of hope in front of us, but many of us are still putting ourselves and our plans on hold. Should we stop everything and wait until the pandemic is over? Are we waiting for a time when things will return to what used to be? Well, we can wait and wait and wait. And what used to be is gone. It's a false precept. What used to be is in the past and no longer accessible to us. In my spiritual counseling practice, I tell couples who are interested in fixing their relationship, your goal is not to recapture the romance that existed when you first fell in love. You cannot go backwards. That person you fell in love with is gone. Your goal is to look at the person right in front of you and get to know that person with fresh eyes, not the person you cherished when you first met and expected them to stay the same way, as if a collector's item on your display case. Here at Oneonta, ISD Oneonta, 2020 was a year that started with a bang. If you remember, we were flourishing. with many dreams being realized for our community, huge spirit fests, so many successes. And like many organizations, suddenly there were challenges and stumbling blocks that threatened our continued existence. It was like everything broke down at once. And after worrying and panicking, we got our heads together with our help from our board president at that time, Kristen Niles, and picked up the pieces and put them together in a new way. We arrived at a new way of looking at things. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Familiar quote, right? How many of you actually know who said that? We all love it. Yeah, Tina knows. I see your hand. Wayne Dyer. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's one of those quotes that never ceases to inspire me day by day. What did we do? What did we do differently, you ask? Well, we discovered how to use Zoom, how to be better at social media, so people looking for a more spiritual approach to life could actually find us. Several new leaders have stepped up at ISD Oneonta to help guide our way to an uncertain future. When the pandemic showed no signs of letting up, by November, 8 months in, we made the decision to give up our physical space, which was a hard one. We were sad about it, and yet it seemed the only way to move forward so that we could save rent and utility costs over the winter in a space that we just weren't able to use really in full capacity without being able to have services and classes in our beautiful Lotus Center. And we'll make a decision about a new location sometime in the spring or when things lighten up. And meanwhile, stay active with our classes and circles online on Zoom as we have been doing. Um, about 25 people actually stepped up to help us with the transition over the month of November and December. Many of them new, having found us online or through social media. Wow, I continue to be inspired by all of you. There was many people who came in to make purchases at the Mystics Nook during that time so we could decrease our stock. There was many brand new people who walked through those doors for the very first time because of they saw an item they wanted to buy. We had it for sale on Facebook Marketplace. And so they saw what we were doing for the first time. And you may consider at some point, if you feel called to help us dream and, what might be our next steps as a church or as a metaphysical center, and you have ideas, feel free to reach out and participate. You may decide you'd like to be a member so that you could have a voice in voting, etc., it being a brand new year. I found myself recently in an argument with a pastor of another faith recently. And he said they refused to do their services online because people weren't feeling it. They weren't feeling any connection to God over the internet. He didn't like my word energy, so I changed it to God. He explained that they needed his personal presence to feel the God energy from his hand as he was the pathway to an experience of the divine. Isn't our job as ministers, I protested, to be the spiritual coach so that someone can have their own experience of the divine in their own home? After all, at ISD, we believe individuals can and will find their own spirit connection within and don't need to follow any one particular rule book to get there. Aren't we, as spiritual guides, simply the viaduct or the channel? I persisted. I couldn't shut myself up. Isn't God everywhere? I asked. Even on the other end of the computer monitor in Joe Smith's home? He did not agree. Like many of us, to try to understand his point of view, perhaps his congregation is simply waiting for things to return to normal or what it was in the past, holding on to old constructs, rituals, beliefs that give them the illusion of comfort and safety in difficult times. That's okay. We're all looking for a compass right now, a clear way to navigate through all of this. And it always seems to be just out of our grasp. All I'm suggesting is that we explore and embrace the new people, the new technology, the new innovative methods that we find surrounding us. Start exploring the joy of what's around us, new ways to network with others who are also on a spiritual path, rather than fighting to keep the old ways and staying locked down. Far be it from me to say that we're doing it right at ISD. Can I say I'm right in this argument? And you are doing it wrong? But Zoom and social media has allowed many new people the opportunity to find their like-minded spiritual community in these past 8 months. And we are all the better for it, with many new friends. And there was a slight little argument over that. Well, these new people who are finding their spiritual community, they won't stay. They're not going to stay. And we need to return to tradition. Da, 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 da. So um, that was his last kind of point. My point is that we are entering a new time, and we cannot predict based on what has happened in the past. Sandra Ann Taylor, Lilydale medium and best-selling author, states in her book Quantum Success, every present moment that you arrive at a new perception, a new way of looking at things, you're making a shift in your energy production. And if you choose an honoring, loving, and joyous point of view, you're charging that time with all your powers at once. No matter what you're doing, you can choose to see value in this instant, even if you're just engaged in a mundane activity, such as driving to work or doing a household chore. This moment is truly special. It's the doorway to the energetic realm, and the only time that you're going to have this precise opportunity. Yesterday, a strong contingent of us released worries, old regrets, doubts, false beliefs, and anything else that would hold us back from our dreams to the power of the cleansing fire at our New Year's spiritual retreat. So a lot of you are here today on the call, or probably watching us on Facebook. Um, in other words, we burned some stuff that we don't want to carry around with us anymore as we create our lives anew for 2021. And then we planted some seeds for the garden of our heart's desire for the future. I understand from listening to Kathy Kirsten, who is the pastor and director at the Sparta Institute for Spiritual Development, that the current astrology out there, and don't ask me to explain it, I'm not an astrologer, but she explains it very nicely. The current astrology out there shows us that it's time to let go of the illusion of limitation. the thought or the illusion that we can't do something. So in conclusion, at this precise opportunity, we can decide that though it looks like the world is shut down, we are not. We are not shut down. And this is the perfect time, on the cusp of a new chapter of a new year, 2021, to release waiting until some later time to get our lives going, our plans going, our dreams going. Mask or no mask, Purell in hand, safely distanced or on Zoom, there's no time like the present to start anew into a new future filled with joy and the loving life we've chosen to live, headed in the direction of our dreams. Thank you. And now it will be me leading the prayer. So you can spotlight me. Actually, okay, there we go. As we turn to the prosperity portion of our service, let's start with a prayer of thanksgiving. Spirit of love, we thank you for helping us to keep our heads through all the changes we have had to maneuver through this year, for all the times we've received an answer to our prayers, in the oddest ways, in a coincidence, in some words, in an image, in a meditation, or a sudden knowing, and for the strength, patience, and resilience needed as we experienced sadness and loss. We are thankful for this community of friends who accompany us on this long and windy road. They share the load, reminding us that life doesn't have to be a struggle, but can be fun as we stop for adventures along the way on our path to peace, fulfillment, and harmony. Amen. Blessed be.